My mother did not say I love you when I told her I was getting married. She said, "You are smarter than this." My fiancé was downstairs at the time, offering to fix her faucet. The kitchen smelled like bleach and disappointment. She wiped the same spot on the counter 3 times before looking at me again. "How long have you been planning this?" she asked, like I had confessed to a crime. 6 months, I said. We wanted to be sure. Sure. She repeated the word like it tasted wrong. And what does his family do again? His father runs a hardware store. His mother teaches third grade. The silence that followed could have frozen water. My mother, Patricia Whitmore, believed in bloodlines and bank statements. She married my father for his law firm, not his laugh, and she expected her 3 daughters to do the same. "Call it off," she said simply, "before you embarrass yourself." That was 2 months ago. Last week she made good on her threat. But what she did not know was that I had been keeping receipts. Literal ones. And when her perfect world started crumbling 14 days later, she finally learned what happens when you push the quiet daughter too far. My name is Rebecca. Everyone calls me Becca, except my mother, who insists on Rebecca Ann, like I am perpetually in trouble. Growing up in Riverside, Connecticut, I learned early that appearances mattered more than truth. Our colonial house sat on 2 acres of manicured lawn. The mailbox had our last name in gold letters. Inside, every room looked like a magazine spread, and every conversation felt like an interview. My 2 sisters, Catherine and Melissa, understood the assignment. Catherine married a surgeon at 25. Melissa got engaged to an investment banker at 23. They lived in houses just like ours, 3 streets over, close enough for Sunday dinners, but far enough to pretend we had separate lives. I was different. While they collected engagement rings, I collected cameras. Old ones, new ones, broken ones, I could fix. I wanted to be a photojournalist, to tell stories that mattered. The first time I showed my mother my portfolio, she flipped through it like junk mail. "Nice hobby," she said. "But Whitmore women do not chase wars with cameras." So I became a financial analyst. Safe, respectable, soul-crushing. Every morning, I put on the same type of blazer, sat in the same beige cubicle, and wondered if this was what dying slowly felt like. Then I met James. He was photographing a corporate event I had to attend. While everyone else networked, he captured the loneliness in their smiles, the exhaustion behind their handshakes. During a break, I found him on the balcony, adjusting his lens to catch the sunset over the Hartford skyline. "You hate these things too," he said, without looking up. "How could you tell? You keep checking the exits." We talked until security kicked us out. He showed me his work. Real stories, real people. A homeless veteran who built tiny homes. Kids teaching seniors to skateboard. Life happening outside conference rooms and country clubs. 6 months later, he proposed at a food truck festival. My mother would have been mortified. I said yes before he finished asking. The problem started immediately. When I brought James to meet my family, my mother served dinner on her grandmother's china and interrogated him like a prosecutor. "Photography," she said, drawing out each syllable. "Is that sustainable?" "I make enough," James answered. "Enough for what? A studio apartment?" Rebecca is accustomed to a certain lifestyle. My father, Thomas, just nodded along, cutting his steak into perfect squares. Catherine and Melissa exchanged looks across the table. Later, Melissa pulled me aside in the bathroom. "Mom is right, you know. Love does not pay mortgages." "When did you become her?" I asked. She checked her lipstick instead of answering. If you are watching this from Connecticut or anywhere in New England, let me know in the comments. I need to know I am not alone in having families like this. The wedding planning became a battle. Every venue I chose was too rustic or too modern or too public. Every dress I tried made my mother purse her lips. She wanted the Riverside Country Club. She wanted her florist, her caterer, her guest list, filled with people I had never met. "This is not just your wedding," she said. "It represents our family." "Then maybe our family needs better representation," I shot back. That was the first time she looked at me like a stranger. James and I decided to pay for everything ourselves. We chose a renovated barn in Litchfield, strung with lights and surrounded by maple trees. Simple, beautiful, ours. We sent out invitations with wildflower seeds attached. "Plant these and watch them grow, like our love." Cheesy, maybe, but it felt real. 3 weeks before the wedding, my mother called a family meeting. These were never good. The last one was when she announced she was removing me from her will, unless I quit my photography phase and got a real job. The one before that was when she threatened to cut off Catherine for dating a teacher. I walked into my childhood home to find them all waiting in the living room. My mother centered on her cream sofa, my father in his leather chair, Catherine and Melissa flanking them like bodyguards. Even my Aunt Linda was there, sipping tea and avoiding eye contact. Sit, my mother commanded. I remained standing. We have discussed your situation, she began, like I had a terminal illness. We. I looked around the room. Who is we? Your family, Catherine said softly. The people who love you. If you loved me, we would not be having this ambush. My mother stood, smoothing her skirt. I have already handled it. The barn, the caterer, the photographer, all canceled. Deposits returned. You are welcome. The room tilted. You did what? I used the information from your planning binder, the one you left here last month. Really, Rebecca, you should be more careful with sensitive documents. That is illegal. You cannot just... I can and I did. I signed your name. After all, I taught you to write it. Melissa actually laughed. A small, nervous sound, but still. My father studied his hands. Aunt Linda took another sip of tea. You forged my signature? I corrected a mistake, my mother said. Someday you will thank me. I looked at each of them. These people who shared my blood, my history, my Sunday dinners, not one would meet my eyes. I understand, I said quietly. My mother smiled, satisfied. She thought she had won. She thought those two words meant surrender, like they always had before, when she told me to drop photography, when she insisted on the financial degree, when she chose my prom date, my college, my entire life. But this time, I understand meant something different. It meant I finally saw them clearly. I drove straight to James's apartment, hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. He was editing photos when I walked in, but one look at my face and he closed his laptop. What happened? I told him everything. He held me while I cried, then pulled back to look me in the eye. We could elope, he said. Tonight, drive to Vermont, find a justice of the peace. No, I wiped my face. I am done running, done hiding. This time they pay. The next morning, I called in sick to work and started making calls. The barn venue confirmed it. Someone claiming to be me had canceled everything. They even had a cancellation letter with my forged signature. The caterer had the same story. So did the florist, the DJ, everyone. But here is what my mother did not know about her quiet daughter. I had been documenting everything for years. Every cruel comment, every manipulation, every financial transaction she made on my behalf. A habit from my photography days, always keep the negatives. I made an appointment with Samuel Chen, the best lawyer in Hartford, who was not part of my father's golf club. When I showed him the paperwork, his eyebrows climbed toward his hairline. This is fraud, he said. And from these bank records you have shown me, it is not the first time. He was right. Once I started looking, I found more. Money my grandmother left me that never reached my account. Savings bonds cashed without my knowledge. A trust fund I did not even know existed. Slowly drained over the years. How much are we talking about? I asked. From what I can see, at least 300,000. Maybe more? The room went cold. $300,000. Gone. Spent on Catherine's kitchen renovation, Melissa's boutique jewelry business, my mother's endless home improvements. What do you want to do? Samuel asked. I thought about all the times I had stayed quiet, all the times I had chosen peace over truth, all the photographs I never took, the stories I never told, the life I never lived. I want justice. If this story is hitting close to home, subscribe. Sometimes the best family we have is the community of people who understand our pain. The lawsuit was filed quietly. Samuel suggested we keep it under wraps until we had everything documented. For 2 weeks I played the part of the defeated daughter. I even called my mother to apologize, saying I needed time to think. She was gracious in victory, inviting me to dinner like nothing had happened. I sat at their table, ate her pot roast, smiled at their small talk about Catherine's new Tesla and Melissa's vacation to Greece. All funded, I now knew, by money that should have been mine. You look well, my mother observed. Breaking things off with that boy agrees with you. I have been thinking about what you said, about family. Family is everything, she said, reaching over to pat my hand. We only want what is best for you. I squeezed back, memorizing the feeling. It would be the last time she touched me. The certified letters arrived on a Thursday. I know, because Catherine called me, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. What did you do? What did you do? I stood up. Mother is having a breakdown. Daddy is calling lawyers. You are suing us? Your own family? You stole from me, all of you. We borrowed. We were going to pay it back. When? After you stole the next grandmother's inheritance? After you forged a few more signatures? The line went quiet. Then you were always jealous of us, the ugly duckling who could not accept her place. My place? I almost laughed. Catherine, my place was wherever I chose to stand. I just let you convince me otherwise. Melissa tried next, showing up at my apartment with tears and a Tiffany bag. Please, she begged. This will destroy us. Our reputation, our relationships. Is that what you want? What I wanted was a wedding. What I wanted was my inheritance. What I wanted was a family who loved me more than they loved controlling me. She set the bag on my counter. Mother picked this out for you. For when you came back. Inside was a silver frame, meant for a wedding photo that would never exist in her vision of my life. I handed it back. Tell her to keep it. She is good at holding on to things that are not hers. The court date was set for September 15th, 3 months after my canceled wedding. My family hired the best lawyers money could buy. My money, technically. The irony was not lost on anyone. The courtroom smelled like old wood and disappointment. My family sat across the aisle like strangers at a funeral. My mother wore her pearls, the ones she saved for occasions requiring armor. Catherine and Melissa flanked her in matching blazers, a united front against the ungrateful daughter. Samuel presented our case methodically. Forged signatures, fraudulent transfers, years of financial abuse disguised as family love. He had copies of everything: bank statements, signed documents, even emails where my mother discussed managing Rebecca's assets for her own good. When my mother took the stand, she played the martyr perfectly. Everything I did was for my daughters. Rebecca was always troubled, always making poor choices. The money was safeguarded, invested in the family's future, invested in renovations and vacations. Samuel corrected, showing receipts. We are a family. We share resources. You share other people's resources, he said, without their knowledge or consent. My father testified next, mumbling about trust and tradition. Catherine cried on cue, talking about how this lawsuit was tearing us apart. Melissa blamed me for being vindictive, for choosing a man over blood. Then it was my turn. Rebecca, Samuel began, tell us about the wedding. I spoke directly to the judge, not looking at my family. I wanted something simple, something that felt like me, but that was never allowed in my family. My mother decided who I should be before I was old enough to know I had choices. The wedding was just the final straw. Why did you keep quiet for so long? Because I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought family meant surrendering pieces of yourself until there was nothing left. But that is not love. That is ownership. Your mother says she was protecting you. I finally looked at her. She was protecting herself from the embarrassment of having a daughter who did not fit her mold. But here is what she never understood. I was never broken. I was just different. And different is not wrong. The judge deliberated for 2 hours. When he returned, his expression was stone. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff. All misappropriated funds are to be returned immediately, with interest. Additional damages of $100,000 for emotional distress and fraud. Furthermore, any attempt at contact outside of legal channels will be considered harassment. My mother gasped. Catherine grabbed her arm. Melissa stared at me with pure hatred. I felt nothing, then everything, then peace. Outside the courthouse, James waited by his truck. No fancy car, no expensive suit, just him, steady and sure, holding a small bouquet of wildflowers. How do you feel? He asked. Free. We drove to the Litchfield barn that afternoon. The owner, Sarah, remembered us. I was heartbroken when you canceled, she said. You two had such vision. We would like to book again, I said. For next month? She looked confused. That is very short notice. We will keep it small, intimate, just people who actually love us. The wedding happened on a Thursday. Random, rebellious, perfect. 20 people under maple trees and October sky. My old college roommate officiated. James's sister played guitar. His mother made her famous apple cake instead of a traditional wedding cake. I wore a simple dress I bought off the rack. James wore his only suit with a wildflower boutonniere. We wrote our own vows. Mine included the line, "You saw me when I could not see myself." His included, "Your story is my favorite one to tell." The photographs from that day are hanging in our apartment now. Not styled, not staged, just real. In my favorite one, we are laughing at something, his nephew said. You can see the barn in the background? The lights just starting to glow in the dusk. We look like ourselves. The money from the lawsuit went partly to paying off my student loans, partly to starting my own photography business. I document real weddings now, the messy, joyful, imperfect ones, the ones where love looks like itself, not like a magazine spread. My family tried reaching out through lawyers, then through friends, then through guilt-wrapped Christmas cards. I responded to none of it. Silence, I learned, can be the loudest statement. Last month, I heard through a mutual friend that Catherine's husband left her. Apparently, he found out about some debts she had hidden. Melissa's boutique went under. My father retired early, quietly, with no fanfare. My mother sells real estate now, smiling at strangers from bus stop benches. Sometimes I dream about them. We are sitting at the dinner table, and everyone is laughing at something genuine. My mother touches my hand, without agenda. My sisters see me without judgment. My father speaks in full sentences. I wake up from these dreams, neither sad nor angry, just aware that some stories do not get happy endings, just necessary ones. James and I are expecting now. A girl, due in spring. We already know we will raise her differently. She will choose her own clothes, her own dreams, her own definition of success. When she fails, we will not call it embarrassment. When she succeeds, we will not claim credit. My mother will never meet her. This is not cruelty, it is protection. Some cycles need to end with us. Last week I was photographing a wedding in Hartford when I saw my mother across the venue. She was showing the space to clients, gesturing at architectural details, playing the part of someone who belonged. Our eyes met for exactly 3 seconds. She looked older, smaller, like someone had turned down her volume. I lifted my camera and went back to work. That night, James found me sitting with my old photo albums, the ones from before. "You okay?" he asked. I was just thinking about the girl in these pictures, how she had no idea she was allowed to leave. But she did leave. "Yeah," I said, closing the album. "She did." If you have ever had to choose yourself over family, share your story in the comments. Nobody talks about how much it costs to be free. Subscribe if this resonated with you. Your story matters, even the parts that hurt to tell.